moratorium on home foreclosures if you're making an effort to pay your mortgage. He wants to make sure you can get some breathing room to have 3 months to kind of figure out exactly where you're going to go and how you're going to pay. I want to bring in Tucker Bounds. He's a spokesman for the McCain campaign. And Tucker, it seems like Barack Obama is now expanding on something that has worked quite well for him in recent weeks, the economy. Your response to this 4-point plan?
Well, Trace, you know, it's interesting to hear what he has to say, but I think what's more interesting is what he didn't say. This is the same Barack Obama who said that he might consider cutting back some of his tax increases if the economy was weak and in trouble. And in fact, today, he did not come out and say that he was willing to suspend his tax increases on hardworking Americans and businesses. He just said that he had some evolution of a different policy that doesn't pertain to exactly what would hurt our economy most, which is Barack Obama's plan to raise taxes on businesses that create jobs. Also, I want to mention that this is the same Barack Obama who had called this foreclosure plan that you had just mentioned. He had called that disastrous when Hillary Clinton had proposed it during the primary. So one has to wonder if this speech was given for political solutions or political ambitions. My hunch is that some of this was about political ambition, and I think the American people see right through that. And that has been the criticism, in fairness to you, Tucker, that has been the criticism. A lot of people saying Barack Obama keeps putting out these spending items out there, keeps bringing up more money, and yet hasn't really shown us how he's going to pay for it or what cuts he's going to make along the way. It should be alarming to every voter that Barack Obama has always got a plan for new spending. He's currently proposed $1 trillion in new spending. He's articulated another $150 billion on top of the $700 billion that we've already proposed. How many billions of dollars before American voters recognize that going down this pathway is madness? It's an economic disaster if we layer on more spending after more spending, tax increases on capital formation and employment measures. I mean, we are talking about an economic disaster in the waiting, and I hope Americans will see through some of this.
Tucker, Martha McCallum here. There's been a lot of criticism floating around about the McCain campaign and how it's been run today, this morning by Bill Kristol and over the course of the weekend. What's your response to that?
Well, you know, my response is there are going to be a lot of people on the sidelines that are willing to say whatever it is that comes to the top of their mind. I know Bill Kristol is an intelligent guy. I just don't think that what he had to say was very intelligent, frankly. I think that we're running a campaign that is competitive. We're going to carry through to Election Day, and I look forward to talking to Bill after Election Day when we can talk about, you know, some of the more foolish things that made print.
Well, but as a result of what Martha was just saying, I noticed in the past couple of days that John McCain has kind of backed off, and so has Sarah Palin kind of backed off these attacks against Barack Obama's ties to Bill Ayers and to Acorn and so forth. So are the gloves kind of going back on here, Tucker?
I don't think so at all, Trace. I think that if you see some of the advertising that came out from the Republican National Committee today, which we stand behind, and some of the advertising that we'll see going forward, you know, there are
What about the
serious
debate on
questions
Wednesday? Is he going to hit him in the debate on Wednesday? Is he going to go after him on those points in the debate on Wednesday?
Well, Trace, so much of a debate is determined by the moderator and the questions that are posed to the candidates. I expect it could come up, and I expect John McCain will ask Barack Obama to speak truthfully about his relationship with friend and unrepentant terrorist Bill Ayers. I think that voters deserve to know, deserve to vet these candidates to the fullest extent, so we know what type of leadership we'll get in the next 4 years. Certainly Bill Ayers raises questions. Certainly Tony Rezko raises questions. These are things that should be examined.
But, you know, the debate that's going on, I guess, among conservatives and McCain supporters to a certain extent is that the negative things that are being brought up are not necessarily, you know, the ones that might work. And, you know, I go back to the man on Friday in Wisconsin who stood up and said, I'm not angry about what you think I'm angry about, but I am concerned about a government that is led by President Obama, if he were to succeed, and Nancy Pelosi and Harry Reid, that is an unchecked power. It's not something that we've heard a lot of. McCain touched on it a bit today, but, you know, is that an avenue that we're going to hear a lot more of in the days and weeks to come?
Well, I think as Americans become more familiar with what sort of plans could be in store for them if they have an unchecked Congress controlled by Democrats on both sides of the Hill, as well as in the White House, they'll understand that there would be no balance of power. Virtually, Nancy Pelosi would be able to run through her surrogate, Barack Obama, in the White House, any agenda that she'd like to put forward. Some of the things that they're already talking about is $150 billion in new spending on top of the $700 billion. They're talking about Barack Obama's proposals for $1 trillion in new spending. Bigger government, trying to recycle hard-earned dollars out of Americans' pocketbooks right through the bureaucracies in Washington. We know that's not the answer, and we are confident that Americans will understand that there needs to be a balance of power. There needs to be a check on some of these crazy ideas that are coming out of the Democratic Congress. These spending proposals have to be put in check, and that's where John McCain comes in.
But Tucker, I mean, just be honest for 1 second with us. Even John McCain says he's a touchdown behind. He's 6 points behind. A lot of polls have him 6 to 10 points. It's not going as planned.
Well, I think that when he said today that we've got him right where we wanted him is exactly right. Right now, you have a narrative building inside the mainstream media
the only poll that matters is election day.
A winner,
when you start saying that, it seems like then you're really in trouble. I mean, it just seems like a lot of platitudinal stuff coming out of the McCain campaign now. And really, is there a plan that we're going to see in the next 2 days that John McCain has that you think is going to change the tide?
Trace, I will tell you that we have 23 days left. You and I both know that is a long time in politics. There are going to be deep decisions that are going to be made by the electorate. There is a clear choice, perhaps the clearest choice that Americans have ever faced in their selection for the White House and what type of leadership they will choose. Will they choose a man that has fought for his country since he was 17 years old, that has bucked his party to make reforms, worked in a bipartisan fashion to get things done? Or will they choose someone that's been in the United States Senate for 3 years and has nothing but a slew of tax increase votes to show for it? I think that I'm confident that Americans understand the challenges we face and they understand the gravity of the decision they're going to make.
Tucker Bounds is with the McCain campaign. We, by the way, are all going to have Bill Burton with the Obama campaign coming up and this show as well in the spirit of fair and balance. Martha.